Hey everyone, I'm Cameron from SpeedCubeShop.com. Today we have an exciting video looking at GAN's new RS3 M killer, the Monster Go EDU. And we're going to compare that to the RS3 M. Is the EDU really an RS3 M killer, a contender, or none of the above? Let's find out. If you guys are getting any deja vu from this video, that might be because we did actually have the video released a few days ago. There were a few unfortunate editing and just overall video errors that went up and caused a little bit of confusion, so I do apologize for that, but we're here in this revisit to clear up any of that confusion and hopefully get you guys a more polished product. So the way this comparison is going to work is I'm going to be comparing the EDU against the RS3 M against a few different points. The categories are going to be overview, accessories, and performance. Whoever has the most points is going to be the winner, and then we'll talk about the results at the very end. So diving right into the overview comparison, let's talk about the magnets. Everyone loves magnets. So both the EDU and the RS3 M both come factory magnetized with moderate strength magnets, so that one's a pretty clear tie. Both of these also come in a frosted stickless exterior plastic. They're almost identical. The RS3 M is a slightly little bit darker shade of blue, which I kind of do like more, but it's so close, we're gonna go ahead and call that one a tie as well. The weight of these two, while close, is different. The EDU weighs 90 grams, while the RS3 M 2020 weighs 84 grams. Overall, I do tend to prefer slightly heavier puzzles. We'll talk a little bit more about how the weight can impact stability later on in the comparison, but just for that overall weight, I do think that when you're dealing with budget cubes, a little bit heavier cube isn't a bad thing, so I'm gonna go ahead and give the point to the EDU. Price is super important to a lot of people, and I totally understand why. The RS3 M is $8.95 US at the time of recording, while the EDU is $11.95 at the time of recording. Yeah, it's $3 more expensive. We'll talk a little bit more about how the price kind of translates into the finished product that we're looking at, but looking at it dollar for dollar, the RS3 M is a really hard bargain to beat. So I'm gonna go ahead and give the point in the pricing category to the RS3 M. Adjustability and customizing like your speed cubes is a very popular trend for the last, I don't know, however long it's been. Surprisingly enough, GAN, aka Monster Go, opted not to include any sort of adjustment system in the EDU. All you get is a basic screw spring structure, and you can adjust that to your liking and hope that you get it even. I do think that when competing against the RS3 M, it was a bit of a missed opportunity to not include even a simple like GTN, aka GAN tension nut system, in the EDU that would have at least offered one or two elasticity settings. That way you can get the cube set evenly and not really worry about messing with the screw, while the RS3 M, as you guys likely know, has the 9-click spring compression system paired with a screw. My only gripe with the RS3 M is that you still have the screw. It's a dual adjustment system, but it would be nice if the screw was substituted for more of like a defined setting system for the elasticity, or the tension setting is what I like to refer to it as. That way, newer cubers don't really have to worry about getting the tensions as even, which is where like our setup services at SpeedCubeShop come into play. So if you're picking up an RS3 M or any other cube and you don't want to deal with the tensioning, let us know, we'll help you out. With that all being said though, I do think that the clear winner in the adjustment system is going to be for the RS3 M because it actually has one. So point to the RS3 M for the adjustability. Talking about the accessories, the RS3 M gives you a few goodies inside the box. You get a cube stand, a screwdriver, a spring compression tool, a spare like spring compression dial piece, and a little pamphlet. The Monster Go gives you nothing, so it's a lot more simplistic, and if I had to guess, it probably helped keep the price to what it is, because adding accessories adds on cost. Just for the fact that the RS3 M has accessories, I'm gonna have to give the point to the RS3 M in the accessories category as well. We are entering the final category, performance. The most subjective category because it's all about personal preference, and while I do feel pretty qualified to give you guys my opinion, let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and I hope this makes sense. So the turning feel is something that I really do prefer in the EDU. Reason being, it has more of a wet, kind of smooth feel. It doesn't really feel like dry and scratchy and kind of clacky like the RS3 M does. The RS3 M feels a lot more like a $9 cube, whereas the EDU could maybe get away with being a few dollars more than what it is. So in terms of turning feel, I'm gonna give the point to the EDU. Speaking of turning, let's talk about the turning speed. The EDU is like the fastest cube I have used in a long time. I mean, look at this. That's almost a 360-degree turn with one flick. The RS3M is fast, but it's not that insane. While I can almost do a 360, it's nowhere near like the EDU. The EDU is just too fast, plain and simple. Everyone that has tried it that I've spoken with has all agreed that it's a really good feel, but it's too fast. So for that reason, I'm gonna give the point to the RS3M. Turning flow is another important category I want to talk about. So turning flow is when you're able to do algorithms and just overall turn the cube and not really have much lockups or binding. I have to say, across all of my solves I did on both puzzles, the EDU was a lot more rewarding to solve. It kind of forced me to be a little bit more accurate with my turning and a little bit more mindful. Whereas the RS3M, it kind of just allowed me to like power through some of the turns that I probably shouldn't have gotten away with. But the overall feel of the EDU just feels a lot more premium. And for that reason, I just feel like when you can get into a good flow and not really lock up or bind, the EDU is just so rewarding and feels so good and just is so fun to solve on. I'm gonna say that the EDU actually has a better turning flow despite it being faster. So I'm gonna give the point to the EDU in a turning flow category. Looking at the stability, I will say that with the heavier weight that the EDU offers and the way that the weight is distributed throughout the puzzle, the EDU has a more core-centric weight, while the RS3M has the weight more so distributed throughout the 3 layers. And as a result, the EDU feels a lot more stable and confidence inspiring, in my opinion, because I feel like when you have more of the weight in the core, it kind of prevents the binding and lockups. It makes the cube feel a little bit more premium, again, in my opinion. The RS3M feels great, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I do really like that more core weighted feel that the EDU offers. So for that reason, I'm gonna go ahead and give the stability point to the EDU. So with all this being said, what were my average times? Surprisingly, I averaged 12.51 on the EDU, and I averaged 12.39 on the RS3M. This actually really surprised me because as I was solving both cubes, I would find that if I would get kind of careless and overturn on the EDU, it was like my solves were either really good and flowed amazingly and were just like a beautiful work of art, or they were pretty sloppy. The RS3M was a bit more consistent, but it just like the lows were low and the highs were high. With the RS3M, it was kind of like less likely to have like a really bad solve on the RS3M. There's just something about it that just isn't really that like, I just don't really love the feel of it. The RS3M kind of needs setup in my opinion, whereas the EDU, you could kind of get away with it without the setup, but I was really surprised that my average times were that close, just given kind of like my sessions. So with that all being said, I think that we're currently at a tie, 4-4. Initially, I thought that the EDU won by a few points based on more specific subcategories. I do think that the EDU is a better product. It's better made, the plastic quality feels a lot better, and just feels a lot more confidence inspiring to use. The RS3M feels a lot more like a $9 SpeedCube. It's great, and obviously it's stood the test of time. So obviously MoYu did something right when they made this cube. Now, with that being said, would I recommend the EDU? I think I would. For the extra $3, there's definitely a specific kind of cuber that would love the EDU. Is the RS3M a great deal for $9? Yeah, it's almost impossible to be dissatisfied with the RS3M. So if you want the safe option, I would say the RS3M is probably the clear choice to buy. If you're looking for that better feel, a little bit better product, but maybe something that forces you to be a little bit more of a careful turner or requires a bit of setup to slow it down, EDU is probably worth looking at. And honestly, I'm really excited to see what kind of comes out of all these different manufacturers, because the RS3M is clearly the cube to beat. So, you know, it's kind of cool that it's pushing development and like innovation, but I think that the Monster Go had a lot more opportunity to really kind of make more of a dent in like the armor of the RS3. So I'm a little bit disappointed that it didn't absolutely blow it out of the water, considering it was kind of marketed to me as being an RS3 killer. It's a contender, not a killer. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I tried my best to make it clear and concise. I've been having lots of weird headaches on and off recently, so sorry if I'm not as clear as usual. Thank you to the editor and everyone that makes all these videos possible. I really love making them, and I'm really glad that you guys seem to enjoy watching them. If you enjoyed the video, slap a like on it, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to pick up an EDU, we'll have a link in the description right down below. If you have one on pre-order, they'll be shipping out. Actually, today they started going out from SpeedCubeShop, so I'll be super curious to start hearing your guys' thoughts on the EDU if you pre-ordered one. Again, I'll see you on the comment section down below. Thank you all for watching. Bye.